Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to help you get informed without getting overwhelmed. And this time, you've given us some really interesting stuff to work with.
Yeah, a great mix. We've got practical guides on building reading routines, tackling focus issues.
Right, and understanding the, reading fatigue thing, plus some solid study strategies.
Exactly. And it all circles back to why reading is so important anyway. So you're looking to really harness the benefits of reading and studying consistently, but maybe without drowning in information.
That's the plan. We're aiming to cut through the noise in this exploration.
Absolutely. We've got step-by-step habit advice, personal stories from online discussions about focus.
Some science behind why reading can feel tiring.
Right, the cognitive load and eye strain stuff, and then really actionable learning techniques. So our mission today, pull out the best strategies, maybe find some surprising angles, and give you tools to build habits that actually, stick.
Okay, let's dive in. Thinking about making reading a regular habit. One of your sources, the 10 Steps Guide, talks about something called habit stacking. Can you unpack that a bit?
Yeah, it's a really neat concept. Uh, Basically, you piggyback a new habit reading, in this case, onto something you already do automatically.
So, like reading after my morning coffee.
Exactly. That coffee routine is already wired into your brain. By adding reading right after, consistently, you're sort of hijacking that existing trigger. It makes the new habit feel less like starting from scratch.
Okay, interesting. It uses existing pathways. And the guide also mentions starting really small, didn't it?
Oh, definitely. Like super small.
Yeah.
Maybe just 15 minutes, or heck, even 5 minutes if 15 feels like too much at first.
5 minutes seems almost insignificant.
Well, yeah, but that's the beauty of it. The article made a great point about accumulation. They used an example, finishing a 6-hour audiobook. It took about 3.5 weeks, just doing 15 minutes of listening a day.
Wow, okay. That really reframes it. Tiny efforts, big results over time.
It's that compounding effect, right? Less about massive, heroic efforts and more about just showing up consistently. So think about your day. Where are those little pockets? Commute, lunch break, right before bed.
And finding a specific spot, does that help?
Yeah, creating a cozy reading nook or even just a designated chair can act as a visual cue. Tells your brain, okay, it's reading time now.
Makes sense. And accessibility too, right? Having books readily available.
Absolutely critical. Physical books, ebooks, audiobooks, whatever works for you. The fewer barriers between you and starting to read, the better.
I liked the point about involving kids too. Modeling the behavior, making it a family thing.
Yeah, great for bonding, and it shows them reading is enjoyable, not a chore. It all ties into consistency, really.
So things like reminders or tracking progress.
Exactly. Using an app like Goodreads or just a simple journal. Seeing your progress, even small wins like finishing a chapter, can be really motivating. It keeps that positive feedback loop going.
And being flexible, I suppose. Life gets in the way sometimes.
For sure.
Mm.
Don't beat yourself up if you miss a day. Just get back to it tomorrow. The most important thing, though, and the article really stressed this,
Let me guess, choose books you actually like.
bingo. If it feels like a slog, you won't stick with it. Find something that genuinely interests you. That enjoyment is the fuel.
Okay, solid advice on building the habit. But what about staying focused once you start? That Reddit distinction you shared really hit home for me. My mind just wandered.
Oh, it's a super common frustration. You're reading the words, but nothing's sinking in.
Exactly. One person on Reddit said something interesting. Maybe it's just not the right book, and it's okay to put it down.
Yeah, that's such a freeing thought, isn't it? Sometimes the lack of focus is actually a signal. Your brain's telling you, hey, I'm not engaged here.
Permission to quit. I like that. But what if it is a book you want or need to read?
Well, the community had lots of practical tips for that too. Noise-canceling headphones are popular,
To block out distractions.
right? Or reading aloud, though maybe not in a crowded library. Some people find it helps them process better. Instrumental music was another suggestion. No lyrics to pull your attention away.
I saw one about using a bookmark or your finger to follow the line. Seems basic, but maybe effective.
Totally. It's a low-tech way to keep your eyes and hopefully your mind anchored. And, don't be afraid to experiment with different genres or authors if focus is a recurring issue. You might just need to find your reading groove.
And wasn't there something about timers? Like the Pomodoro method?
Yes, that came up in the book Riot Source, too. Reading in focused bursts, say 25 minutes, then taking a short break.
Yeah.
It works with your natural attention span, not against it.
Okay, that makes sense. And the environment, again, getting rid of the phone.
Crucial. Put it in another room, airplane mode, whatever it takes. Find a quiet spot. minimize potential interruptions, create that little bubble for reading.
Someone mentioned mood reading too, just picking up whatever feels right in the moment.
Yeah, I love that idea. Leaning into what you're genuinely excited about right now rather than forcing yourself through something on a rigid list.
And that ties back to the permission to quit idea the DNF did not finish. Book Riot mentioned that too.
Exactly. They argued that DNFing books you aren't enjoying actually increases your overall reading volume because you move on faster to books that will hold your attention.
Right, frees up time and energy.
Mhm.
So we have routines, we have focus strategies, but what about that feeling of just being drained by reading, even when you want to? Your listening article tackled reading fatigue.
Yeah, and it's a real thing, not just feeling generally tired, but specific factors making reading physically or mentally taxing.
Like what?
Well, there's cognitive load, basically the mental effort your brain needs to, process the text, make connections, hold information. Complex stuff takes more energy.
Okay, that makes sense, like mental weightlifting.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And then there are the physical aspects reading ergonomics. Things like bad lighting, slouching, holding the book too close or too far away.
And plain old eye strain, right? Blurry vision, headaches.
Definitely. Focusing fatigue is a big one. The article stressed having good, soft light, sitting comfortably, and keeping the book about 16 to 20 inches away.
I need to pay more attention to that. What about breaks?
Super important. They mentioned the 20-20-20 rule. Ever heard of it?
Vaguely. Remind me.
Every 20 minutes, you look at something about 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Just gives your eye muscles a quick reset.
Simple enough. And general breaks, too, I assume. Especially for tough reads.
Absolutely. Step away, let your brain process, avoid that mental overload, which leads into another strategy, chunking.
That was from the Facing History resource, right? Breaking things down.
Exactly. Taking dense text, dividing it into smaller, manageable pieces, and then actively doing something with each chunk.
Like what? Just rereading it.
More active than that. Maybe rewriting the main idea in your own words, or identifying key terms, or even drawing a little diagram or summary.
So engaging with it differently.
Precisely. It helps manage that cognitive load and improves comprehension, preventing fatigue from setting in so quickly.
Interesting. And technology can help too, the listening app.
Yeah, the idea there is switching from visual to auditory input. Gives your eyes a rest while you still absorb the content. It's another tool in the toolbox.
And basic stuff, like font size and spacing.
Right. Text legibility matters. Anything that makes the physical act of seeing the words easier reduces strain.
Okay, so lots of ways to combat fatigue. Now, how does all this connect to, say, studying effectively? Your Malin Community College source talked about studying as a learned skill.
It did, very much like building a reading habit. Effective studying requires practice and intention. It's not just about putting in the hours.
It's about how you use those hours.
Exactly. And a key part of that is knowing your learning preference.
Ear, visual.
Auditory, more hands-on, kinesthetic.
And tailoring your study methods accordingly.
Yeah. Visual learners might use mind maps, charts, color coding. Auditory learners might benefit from recording lectures or discussing concepts out loud. Hands-on learners might build models or act things out.
And reviewing seems crucial too. That source mentioned forgetting happens fast.
Shockingly fast. A lot can vanish within 24 hours if you don't reinforce it. So quick daily reviews, maybe a longer weekly review that really helps cement things in long-term memory.
Makes sense. They also talked about peak study times.
Yeah, figuring out when you're naturally most alert and focused. And also using bonus time, those little 5 or 10-minute gaps during the day. Keep notes handy.
Organization was a big theme too, wasn't it? Planners, prioritizing.
Definitely. Being structured, scheduling study sessions, breaking down big assignments, creating a dedicated study space, well-lit, minimal distractions.
They even had tips for studying with kids around.
Which is super practical for many people. Planning activities for the kids, having a child-proof zone nearby, accepting that interruptions happen, and being flexible.
What about actually reading textbooks, that SQ3R method?
Yes. Survey, question, read, recite, review. It's a classic for a reason. It forces active engagement.
So not just passive reading.
No way. You survey the chapter, first headings, summaries. Then you form questions based on those headings, read to find the answers, recite the information in your own words, and then review regularly.
Active learning. And memory tricks, mnemonics and things.
Yeah, they can be surprisingly helpful for remembering lists or specific facts, rhymes, acronyms, whatever works for your brain.
And study groups. Are they actually beneficial?
They can be, yes. Talking through material with others, explaining concepts, it reinforces your own understanding and can expose you to different perspectives or catch things you missed.
Okay, so effective studying really builds on good reading habits. Let's zoom out one last time. The 95% group article talked about the broader, lifelong benefits of reading,
Yeah, this one really resonated. It goes beyond just academics or job skills.
like developing empathy.
Exactly. Reading exposes you to so many different lives, perspectives, experiences. It helps you understand people who are different from you. There's even research suggesting our brains simulate the characters' experiences when we read fiction.
Wow, like practicing empathy.
Kind of.
Hmm.
And it sharpens critical thinking, too. You're constantly analyzing, predicting, figuring things out within the story or argument. Plus, it builds vocabulary naturally.
And social skills, how does that work?
Well, by seeing social interactions play out, understanding motivations, processing universal themes, love, loss, conflict, it's like a rehearsal for real life. It also strengthens memory and concentration.
And builds background knowledge, making it easier to learn new things later on.
Absolutely. It all connects. And here's a surprising one. Stress reduction.
Reading reduces stress.
Apparently, yes. Even just 6 minutes can lower stress levels significantly. It's a great screen-free way to unwind, especially before sleep.
That's compelling, and obviously it improves writing and communication skills.
Fundamentally, more reading leads to better writing, better language skills. It equips you with problem-solving tools and can even provide a sense of connection, knowing others share similar experiences.
So reading isn't just about information, it's about becoming a more well-rounded, capable human.
That's a great way to put it. The article had nice tips too.
Right.
Read aloud, find books on your hobbies, use the library, make it enjoyable.
Okay. So, wrapping this deep dive up, we've covered a lot, building routines through small steps and stacking.
Strategies for better focus, like managing your environment, and maybe even DNFing books.
Understanding and tackling reading fatigue, both the mental and physical sides.
Right, using breaks, chunking, maybe even tech aids. Then linking that to effective study habits, knowing your style, reviewing regularly, using methods like SQ3R.
And finally, appreciating those really profound lifelong benefits: empathy, critical thinking, stress reduction, connection.
Exactly. We pulled all this from the resources you provided, trying to give you a clear, useful overview.
We really aim to distill the key takeaways, making it manageable but thorough to help you become a more effective and engaged reader and learner.
So that brings us to a final thought for you. Thinking about everything we've discussed, what's maybe one small, concrete step you could take, perhaps even today or tomorrow, to either restart or just deepen your own relationship with reading and learning?
Something to mull over. We really encourage you to explore the areas that sparked your interest, maybe go back to the sources or find related info. Remember that consistent engagement, even in small ways, can lead to really significant growth.